We've got 1 minute, so I'm going to start with the housekeeping. CONvergence is a volunteer-run convention. If you don't volunteer, it doesn't run. This is especially true of CONsuite. If you don't volunteer, you don't get fed. And I'm pretty sure everybody likes food. Yes. There are a plethora of opportunities. I couldn't possibly go over all of them. You can find out about them down in the volunteers office on the second floor. There are many, many, many opportunities still today. We need to get moved out of the hotel.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, that's one thing.
And there's plenty of swag to go with it.
That's true. A lot of people don't realize that not only are we here until sometimes late hours on Sunday shutting down, but we're here early. Some people are here as early as Monday and Sunday, I think, prior to Con. I personally start my work Tuesday night, Wednesday morning for gaming. So yeah, we've had a long week.
Yeah, our plastic went down Tuesday night.
Yeah. And Sunday we actually have to be out of the hotel by a certain time, so we are just like focused. Yeah, it's crunch time.
Yeah, and many hands make the tape come up fast. Secondly, you will notice colored pieces of paper all over this room. Those are because I can't see very well. And also, we've discovered that random people get offended by things that we are not aware of when we try and call on them. If we call on the piece of paper, you don't get offended. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I heard that there's work that needs to be done on Monday. If Sunday is the deadline of everything out, what happens on Monday?
Monday before Con. Monday before Con. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some departments
we actually started moving in. I think some people checked into their rooms on Sunday night so that they could be here all day Monday, getting things, receiving deliveries, pulling stuff out of storage, that sort of thing. I'm not terribly familiar with all of what goes on, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
And we always need more hands. But Sunday night, we really need the hands because it's a much tighter timeline to get out than it is to get in.
Yes.
So the colored piece of paper, hold them up. I'll call on the piece of paper. And that's that. So welcome to How to Become a Panelist. This is more than just about panels.
Yes.
We have a representative from gaming. We have a representative from the sandbox. We have somebody missing. And we have a representative from the teen room. All of whom have wonderful things to tell you about how you can get more involved in the programs and activities here at the convention. Because, quite frankly, if you don't tell us you want it, we can't give it to you.
Yes. Yeah.
And having someone to help provide it makes it even easier.
Yeah, being a full-time convention run, anybody who is a volunteer, which is basically all of us, even the CONCOM, even the board of directors, we do not get paid to run this convention. All the money that goes into the convention gets put into providing things like the food at CONsuite, the games and gaming. You know, we recycle that. We don't have any profits at all. We're a nonprofit organization, and so yeah, we love. I've heard some people talk about, because there's other conventions in the community that are very generous to their volunteers. Like, they'll give you a free badge if you come and volunteer a certain number of hours. And if we did that, we would literally be like 1,000 maybe paid people, because everybody else would be volunteers out of the 4,000 people there. Like, it takes a village, and we have a city. So it's really great. And yeah, if you've been to CONvergence enough times, it's still like, I'm happy to pay that membership fee for the weekend, because this is nerd summer camp for me, and you're all my family whether you like it or not. So yeah, I'm honored to be able to spend my money to be here and work as well.
This is the hardest working vacation I have ever had.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we're gonna start over here on Sandbox.
Sure.
Tell us your process for how you figure out what events you're going to have.
Yeah, so I'm Jessie. I'm one of the heads of Connie's Quantum Sandbox. For anybody not familiar, we have our cosplay repair station, we have our lab that does crafts all weekend, and then we have our classroom. And our classroom is the one that has the scheduled activities. You may have seen some of them throughout. They're listed as activities, things such as needle felting, bookbinding, Riker beards, a whole variety, right? And so part of what we do is people will come up to us during the con, like Riker beards came from last year. Somebody came up to me and said, hey, I do this thing at parties, it's super funny, let's do that. And we say, absolutely, we love that idea, are you going to lead it? And, because that's part of it, right? Like, a lot of people have ideas, there's a lot of people in the sandbox, and, a lot of us are crafty, obviously, being in that room, but we don't all know all the skills, right? So having somebody that can come in and say, hey, this is a thing that I know how to do, and I would love to show other people how to do that thing. And so we have, from gluing yarn to a picture of Riker, right? That's not a super complicated thing, but it's an activity, it was fun, people had a great time, and so we have them, offer those ideas. We also accept panel submissions, so just like you can submit panel ideas electronically for programming, if it is a craft or activity related, it gets kicked over to us, and we look through and we decide things like, the feasibility, the cost, and, if we think it's something that would make sense in our room. And, we have some flexibility in that, but we usually plan for about 100 people, so sometimes we have to scale up, sometimes we have to think about, an activity for this many people is gonna be, easy, but if you do it for 100, all of a sudden that's a lot of supplies, whatever. And speaking of supplies, that's something we take care of, right? So a great example is the bookbinding. There's a lot that goes into bookbinding. There's special threads, special needles, special covers, that kind of thing. And so we are the ones that handle all that. So what we're looking for our activity leaders is the idea and the ability to walk other people through how to create that idea. So it could be complicated, it could be simple, but we work with you every step of the way. You'll get a lot of emails from me back and forth going, is this the paper? Is this the right pencils? And we help support you in making it happen, and we always make sure we have staff to help with the people in the room, but we need people that have the ideas of, I want to make a thing, I want to teach other people to make the thing, can I use your space to do that? And we love to make that happen.
Okay. So I'm going to jump in with the programming process, since you already mentioned the programming panel submission form. Programming starts with the suggestion form, or the brainstorming sessions, which will be scheduled in October and November. One on a Saturday, one on a weekday. And this is where most of our panel ideas come from. There's a QR code at the back of this room that you can click, scan and get directly to the panel suggestion form. It is open currently. We have already taken about 20 suggestions. We need a whole lot more than that. I don't know if you've noticed, but we have 8 rooms to fill for 36 hours each. That's a lot. So yes, we need lots and lots and lots of suggestions. Either way that you get them to us, either through the brainstorming session or through the suggestion form. We put them all in the list, and then on February 1st we say, you can start signing up for panels now. And a bunch of you do. Yay! When a panel reaches 5 panelists, it can be scheduled. A lot of times, though, it reaches 13, 14, 15. We've had some as many as 20 people wanting to be on a 5-person panel. That's where our meetings get really fun. We have to pare it down. So when you are filling out the panel request form, which that link will go out on February 1st, please, don't tell us you've been on panels before. That tells us nothing. Tell us why you would be a great panelist for all the panels that you wanted to be on. The more you write, the better. We get people who submit novels, basically, of their credentials, they get on more panels. So once we pare that down, we figure out the schedule. That is a master level game of Tetris, because we have to try and find a time when 5 people can all get together in an appropriate sized room for said panel at an appropriate time. We tend to run the horror type panels late at night, so please don't say, I want to be on horror, but nothing after 7. We laugh. These are things that need to go in. We have a wide variety of panels. We have everything from STEM, where it would help if you actually had some credentials in the science that the panel is talking about, to fan panels, which if you just say that you've watched the whole thing, that's good.
It's important to note too that when the suggestion side of the panels, let's say you're seeing something missing, like we really need to have a discussion on this certain movie franchise that we haven't had. You can suggest it and not be on the panel. And I do see a lot of people sort of kind of get freaked out where like, oh, I don't want to offer the suggestion because they'll make me be on the panel. No,
we won't.
That's not how we do it.
Even in Sandbox.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
we'll accept
Like,
ideas and
seriously.
find somebody to lead it if you
We
really are
also
like, I
have
can't.
people who get upset because they submitted a suggestion, then didn't sign up for it, and didn't get on the panel. If you don't sign up for it, we're not putting you on the panel.
Yeah, it's a different process.
However, if you give a suggestion and you tell us who you are in the process, because you can do it anonymously, and you tell us that you were the one who suggested, and then you go ahead and sign up for it, you are pretty much guaranteed to be on that panel. If, however, you don't tell us who you are when you suggest it, or you don't sign up for it, catch as catch can. And now I'm going to toss it over to Teen Room, because there are special considerations for teens, because communication is weird in that area.
Yeah, and we don't like emails, which is how everyone else communicates, which makes things hard. Teen Room is a room for only teens. We're 13 through 20. So send your teenagers to us. This year we had like over 100 people show up, which was wild. Yeah, it was great. So we don't really do panels just because we're more of a hangout space, but we do try and coordinate activities with other areas. Like this year we did a takeover of Space Lounge for 2 hours, where only teenagers were allowed inside Space Lounge for 2 hours. And Sandbox also came to our room and led a bead activity, which was really fun.
They did allow me in, but it was very scary. I walked in and they were like, adults!
Yes, multiple people tried to take them out. Because we are not a hive mind, and it is very apparent when we try and badge people.
Yes, but I survived. It's okay. You can
It
do
was great.
activities with
We loved
Teen
it.
Room and come out, live to tell the tale.
Our main primary communication is Discord, which is not the rest of CONCOM's primary communication. So, how things happen for us is a lot of times someone will be in the Discord. I'd be like, hey, this sounds like a fun thing. And then we have to email someone about it. Which we're trying to get better at, but we're a bunch of teenagers, so yeah. Some ideas that have been brought up is a video game room takeover, a Cinema Rex takeover. There was one other thing that I had forgotten about. I texted it to someone, so it's not my problem anymore.
So the Teen Room has very graciously allowed me to be an adult need supervision in their Discord in a single room where they can offer panel suggestions that they want to see or they want to be on. And we've already gotten 2 suggestions through that, which is better than we've ever had before.
Again, teenagers don't look at websites or emails, which is how they communicate.
So we're trying to be as accommodating as possible for our younger members. The 8 to 12-year-olds, it's much easier because we reach out to their guardians. They're adults, they do email. But reaching out to a teenager's guardian doesn't work. Tried that one. It didn't work. Trying to convince teenagers to fill out forms and go on websites and email us. Yeah, we tried that. Didn't work. Now we're trying the Discord. Seems to be working.
Yeah. You might have to remind them they do have to sign up, but
Oh, I will.
good.
I will. I'll stay in my room, but I will.
Okay.
It's worth saying too that CONvergence as a con does have its own Discord server now. It's a small but mighty one, and it's
It
great.
does have
Fun.
a con version, but it is very clearly, this is not for official communication. Our official communication is still email.
All right, gaming. What is your process?
We have a couple of things going on. Like Sandbox, we only really run games that people want to run. So if you come to con and you're like, I really wish somebody could teach me this game, chances are you could probably find somebody just hanging out that will help you with that, or even somebody at the desk who can help you with that. But for the actual scheduled games, those are people who are running the game, who have the desire to run the game, who know the rules, and are going to spend several hours teaching the participants that game. We put out a blast to anyone who has normally run games with us before to remind them on email that we're opening up the form. There is a web form that we get most of our suggestions in that way. If you email gaming at convergence-con.org, that will just tell you to go to the web form, because it all goes to a Google form and it's easier to track that way. Over the last 2 years, we've consistently gotten over 200 scheduled games, which is pretty mighty for us. We were never really known as a gaming convention until recently. Moving to the Hyatt changed it for us. We were always kind of shoved on 22 and did our own thing, and people ignored us, and it was great. But now we're in the traffic, and the joke was we're in the new garden court, and if you were hanging out past a certain hour the last couple days, you noticed that it's kind of the case. Well, we love it. We have three dedicated rooms that are in the back of the Boundary Waters, this year at least. One is for RPGs, one is for scheduled board games, and one is for video games. Video gaming doesn't have any scheduled events. I know Space Lounge, they do a video game tournament on Saturdays. That's unrelated to us. But now that we're doing more with video gaming, you could probably see some events start to appear.
Tea Room's trying to schedule something with video gaming.
Well, and there's a great example of, Teen Room will work with gaming to make that happen. And if you're somebody who's like, hey, let's do a Tekken tournament, write us, fill out the form, we'll do our best to make it work. Very few times do we ever tell somebody no, and when we do, it's because they don't have a copy of the game or don't know the rules. They're just hoping somebody will teach it to them. And that's just not what that's for. The scheduled gaming is for instructional. And with board games, especially, we've got this wonderful open gaming library. Anybody can grab a game off of it and sit at a table and get players. But these are more structured events. It's great especially for RPGs, where a lot of those games that are run are they're prepared characters for you. You don't have to worry about spending time making it. The rules are real ready to roll. I mean, they literally get you started from minute one, and you learn how. Like, if I've always wanted to play D&D, well, this is a great way to do it because you don't have to do any of the pre-work. You don't have to own any books. You show up, and somebody who knows what they're doing helps you through it. So it's a great way to really experience gaming. But yeah, it's all done through web form for us.
All right, and with that, it's your turn. Here, we've got a bunch of experts on how to become more involved in the con, get things the way that you want them. What questions do you have?
For the games, it's difficult for me to tell what's entry level. So the last time I played Magic, the newest rule was Trample.
Yeah, right?
That's a long time ago.
So
I wanted to play, but I didn't know what's the experience.
Yeah, and the Magic's a great example of the tournament. So this is actually a good learning experience for anybody interested in suggesting games. This year we had two different individuals want to run a Magic tournament. One of them said, I want to do a casual commander format. I'm going to give away prizes. Maximum players are 36. great information for us. We were able to figure that out. It's going to take 3 hours. Okay, great. The next person said, Magic the Gathering. I don't know what that means, because especially with a game like Magic, there are literally 14 different formats that it could be. It could take how many hours? Do you need to bring your own decks? That's a great example there. But with just so as well with Sandbox, I'm sure, and paneling, if you're suggesting this, let us know. Is this going to be a learn to play? Is this going to be a hyper competitive? That's the only way we know as the gaming department to provide that information. And if somebody like Sue comes to the gaming help desk and asks the help that we have sitting there, can you tell me more about this? A lot of the chances are they're not going to tell you any more than what it says in the book, because they didn't have the information either. So unless the GM comes and clarifies, or we email them back and ask for clarifying information, and they respond, we don't know either. So as somebody who proposes a game, we definitely want you to provide all that information. We'll do our best to ask some questions to help. But especially with Magic, that's a tough one. I will say next year we are planning, one of our people who did the more detailed one, he wants to do a learn to play event, which would be wonderful for Magic. It's changed a lot over the last 30 years. So.
I was just gonna say ours is a similar concept of like, if you just email me and say, I wanna do crocheting, I'm gonna be like, okay. That's a big, that's right,
It's
and
so nice to know that we aren't the only ones who get the, I've been on panels before.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's important, because I think even something as simple as Star Wars, Star Wars panel, that's great, but what kind of detail are you really, let's talk about the monsters of Star Wars, let's talk about the spaceships of Star Wars, let's really talk about what it is you would like to communicate, even if you're just suggesting it.
At this point, a Star Wars fan panel,
the whole weekend.
That's a convention, and you'll have to run it yourself, thank you very much.
Yeah. That's part of the reason. I know you mentioned Discord, and you mentioned, you guys have your official form, and then they have that. We keep ours to an email. We do get the kickback from paneling or programming.
You borrow our form.
Yeah, we borrow their form, but we also allow people to submit directly to Sandbox at CONvergence-Con, because ours has so much back and forth of like, first of all, is it something you can teach, or do we need to find someone? And then we have to really rein in what is the specific craft, like what is the item we will make in that hour to 2 hours, like specifically.
That's a good point too, because even programming reaches out to us sometimes of, hey, somebody said that they wanted to do, a game.
People like to use our suggestion form for just about everything. We send stuff to Mainstage, we send stuff to Holodeck, we send stuff to gaming. We occasionally send stuff to HarmCon. Pretty much anybody who has a schedule, they use that
The teens do not put anything in there.
No, they do not. And the thing is, honestly, it's really very easy, because our forum spits out an email. And so it comes to our email and we go, oh, that's for gaming. Forward, gaming, here you go. And it has all the information that we got. You get everything that we got. And it's like you can take it from there. Programming does not mind if you borrow our form to try and submit to somebody else. We'll just forward it and everything's right. And I have a question here.
Yeah, I was wondering, from year to year, do you look at like panels and events you've had before and say we want to do something different, like we don't want repeats, or is that not necessary? There are some panels that I go to and I'm like, everyone should hear this every year,
There are some perpetual panels. Year in science fiction, year in horror, year in all the year-ins tend to be perpetual as long as somebody suggests them. for the most part, other discussions, we want it to be a little bit different. And now, we have writing panels and publishing panels pretty much every year. And we want it to be a little different than it was last year. For example, 2 years ago, we had a panel on the business of traditional publishing, and then we had another panel on the business of independent publishing. Then last year, we had a panel specifically on indie versus trad publishing. You put them together. Like actually talk about why you would pick one or the other. This year again, we're splitting them up. And we're going in different directions with it. And the nice thing is with writing, there's a million different ways to approach the question of indie versus trad publishing as just one minor aspect of writing. We've done, but yeah, it's like we're not going to do 2 world building panels in a row unless they are truly different. Like one is the geology of world building, and the other one is the sociology of world building. Yeah, we'll run those in consecutive years. We have. But but if it's been 2 to 3 years and you want to bring up the same subject again, yeah, no problem. Now this year we oopsed and put the perimenopause panel in a small panel room at 9:30 in the morning, hoping that would limit the attendance. It did not, and we're very glad the fire marshal didn't show up during that panel. He would have been mad. So we've already made the executive decision. We're running it again next year in a bigger room.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, ours is really similar. We have a tracking sheet where we write down every activity we've done and what year, and then that way we can look back. Like one of the things we said was, last year we weren't going to do Jedi robes, but then we had a guest of honor, come in to do it, and we're like, okay, well, we'll make an exception. But that was the first thing we said this year was like, we've done Jedi robes almost every single year. It needs a break, right? And so one of the things we talk about is the same thing. Are they different? So like, for example, we did bookbinding. It packed. We hit our capacity. We had to tell people we're out of kits. And he did a very specific Egyptian Coptic bookbinding. And so we talked about the fact that, we do have our bookbinding supplies already. We have a lot of paper in our stash, and it was really, really popular. So that is something we would do again. However, is there a different style of bookbinding? And can we make, an easier version for people that maybe struggled with, that? And so we try to make sure that we're not repeating as well, or we at least take a year between. Unless it's something like our Monsters Bash and our Cardboard City, which would probably have riots if we did a host. And so we have a couple that
the Minecraft blocks wouldn't survive.
Yeah, they would probably perish.
That event is, I don't even participate, but it's very cathartic.
We have so many people that come in just to watch. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, no, it's not just for kids, I promise.
Teen Room, we repeat our events every year because it is easier. Again, we don't email. So what ends up happening is Space Lounge and Sandbox will be like, hey, we did this last year, you want to do it again? And we'll be like, yes.
Oh, that is true. We do our Sandbox on tour every year, but we bring you a different craft.
Yes, we do.
We do.
We don't have to deal with that.
You had a question?
It's only my second year, so how do I go back to know what has been the last 2 years? I see that I can still access last year's app, but beyond that, are there other ways to know what has been done recently?
Oh.
I believe on the website somewhere, and this is...
There should be archives, right?
Yeah,
there are
there's
archives of the program guides.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And so
Yeah.
you can see that. And the thing is, if you suggest something that was done, recently, and we can find a way to make it enough different, we'll still put it in the list.
One thing to note too is that we just came out of probably the last 3 years were still kind of that pandemic sketchy. We had a much smaller population, so if something was run 2 years ago, it might not be as big of a deal because now we're starting to regrow, and there's a lot of people who didn't necessarily attend even 2 years ago. So that's one good thing. And then with gaming too, we run if somebody's like, hey, I ran this card game, it was, I want to do it again next year, I want to run 3 versions of it, yeah, we'll let them do it. There's no question. We don't do anything based on specifically the theme of the year or anything like that. I think programming, you care a lot more about making it interesting towards the theme as well.
We try.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do
I think you
a
do a
little
great
bit
job.
too.
Yeah.
We don't always get good
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah, right.
though.
And you
I
kinda
would
gotta
say, I'm sorry.
So,
I was gonna say our tracking is more internal, so it's more of us. So like, for example, we had someone that did origami with us last year, and they reached out to me and said, hey, I was the person that did origami last year, I'd love to do it again. And I said, you know what, we loved having you, but we're doing a different paper craft model this year, but I would love to have you again next year, right? And so we just, we're not gonna like expect you to track those. Like that's not necessarily something that will be like, I can't believe they suggested that craft, but we did it last year. We track it internally for our own purposes, and we will keep records when we're trying to plan ours, and we'll go back and be like, we haven't done that for a few years, let's bring that one back. Or
it's the same with programming. Don't say no for us.
Yeah.
If it's something that you want to see, suggest it. And like I said, if we can find a way to make it enough different, we'll run it. We'll put it in again.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the other thing with programming is we have to get panelists to sign up, or we can't run it.
Yes.
So I know that there are some suggestions that get put in the list perpetually because someone really, really wants it, and no one wants to be on the panel, and so it doesn't get run.
Yeah.
And I'm terribly sorry, but yeah, if you're continuously putting in a suggestion and it's not getting run, it either, it's like, if it's the second time you put in a suggestion that's not going to run because it goes against one of our policies, which are really long and detailed, and I'm not going to go into the details right here, right now. But basically, keep it positive. We don't want a let's rag on J.K. Rowling panel. But if you want to run a let's figure out how to deal with problematic creators, that we will do, because that's positive.
Yeah, we like at CONvergence, we like to, so there's the idea of punching down and punching up, and we kind of punch sideways here. And that's part of what makes CONvergence more inclusive and more friendly, because even something like vilification tennis, yeah, it's aggressive, yeah, it can have some very controversial views, but they're never pointing out directly to some underprivileged class or anything like that. They're punching sideways. They're like, oh, we're all a bunch of nerds, hey, and that's less offensive than saying people with blue hair are awful, So, and that's a great example there that you gave.
And a lot of times we'll get a whole bunch of suggestions that are very, very similar, and we will blend them and put them as one suggestion, because we're not going to run that many similar panels all at once.
We did that this year. We had someone suggest pet blankets, and somebody else wanted to do a pet toy swap. And so we just merged them, and they could bring their pet toys and then make the blankets and grab another pet toy on the way out.
Yeah, and we don't expect everybody to know the history of CONvergence, right? If you've only been coming here for 2 years, I've been coming here since year 4, and I don't even remember what the panels were I saw, of course, for various reasons, but yeah, we're not going to be like, oh, here comes another Star Wars. It's more going to be about, oh, how can we meld this into something that's going to be interesting for this year's, theme, this year's, guest of honor. So the worst you can do is suggest something and have it just be molded a little bit.
Ours is just a logistics thing sometimes. Like,
Absolutely.
we would love to do pottery repair with the gold, and I was like, cool, do you want me to have 100 things of
We actually
broken
had a
pottery?
suggestion that we couldn't run this year. It was the War of Stars, which was described as there's Star Wars, there's Stargate, there's Star Trek. Whose team are you on?
Oh,
14 people signed up.
oh no.
Yeah.
6 of them told us which team they were on. They were all on Star Wars.
Oh no. You can't do that.
We need at least one representative from each team,
Yeah.
or this doesn't work. And so we sadly had to not run it because, We will probably put the suggestion in again for next year and be more specific about tell us what team you're on.
Yeah.
Another thing we should talk about too, especially with the programming side of things, is there is something called like a private panel, right? Where
Locked panels.
yeah, locked panels.
Locked panels. So you can suggest something and say you want it locked. Then you absolutely have to tell us who you are, because you are going to be responsible for filling that panel up.
Yeah.
You have to tell us who's going to be on the panel. And this is fine. This is totally fine. We run a lot of things like that. Because sometimes, we have people who are, have a very, very specific view on what it is, and they have access to the people who need to run it. Great. Sometimes it's a performance. Great. We love them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's also a very touchy subject, and we want to be very, very careful about who's on it. Also, we'll run it as long as you can get us people who are appropriate.
Yeah. So, like a lot of the evening comedy shows, for example, they all know who's going to be on their panel. They're all coworkers essentially, and I can't just be like, oh, I want to be on vilification tennis, or I want to be on the mega panel. I can't do that because I'm not. If I wanted to, I could reach out to them, but programming can't control that.
Yeah. We also had on theme, we had a group coming in who wanted to do a panel on their business and their business model, which was talking cardboard.
Talking cardboard. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's great. We locked it and said, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a local podcaster that has some international fan base, and we thought it would be fun to have that for the gaming theme this year. And it worked out well.
We also do allow podcasts to come in and record with a live audience. I will say, unless you're a really big, popular podcast local to this area, we're going to put you in a small room because you're not going to get a huge audience. But you're welcome to record, and that's great. Streaming from the hotel is dicey.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi here is garbage.
Yeah, that's not something that we can control. So we do not recommend streaming directly from the hotel. But you want to record your podcast, by all means.
Yeah.
We'll help you set it up. We'll get in touch with the tech guys so that you can hook up to your to the soundboard and get your audio captured. We love that. Those tend to be locked as well. And like I said, the thing with locked is you must tell us who you are. You must give us contact information, because we're going to have to reach out to you to find out who to put on the panel.
Sandbox is the same way if you want to lead an activity. Like, you're welcome to give ideas, and those are more dicey, because if none of us know how to do it, none of us can, unless we can figure it out, and it's a simpler craft. But we like to know who it is, and then you would be the one activity leader, or if you brought a friend or something that does it with you. And we support you, but you're going to be the one up in front, classroom style, kind of like teaching. And we work with you on how to do that. But like, if you're like, I don't want to talk to a whole crowd, then you can just give us an idea. But if it's obscure and something none of us know how to do, we're like, we can't teach it, we don't know. But we love doing crafts, and we usually try to figure it out.
You can also steal your extrovert friend and teach them the craft and have them talk to a whole bunch of people.
We have lots of people
That's
that are adopted
how I'm on most
by
of
their
my
friends.
panels.
We can also allow you to, when you make the suggestion, restrict what kind of people can be on it. So if Teen Room makes a suggestion and they say they want it to be all teens, it will be all teens. And one of you is going to have to moderate. We do a lot of, it's like the kids programming we restrict it. You gotta be 12 or under to be on a kids programming unless you're the moderator, and we have a very strict limit of, a small pool of moderators that we trust to work with kids. And we are growing that pool. So if you want to be a kids moderator, let us know, and we'll do our vetting as best we can. But yeah, it's like we want to have, it's like we'll restrict it. Like if you want to have it be a science panel, and only credentialed scientists, you say that in the suggestion, and we will insist that in the signups. The more restrictive you are, the less likely it is for the panel to run, unless you actually know specific people.
Ours is the opposite. If you know it, then you're more likely to be able to lead it. You have a question?
And what about being a moderator?
Okay, so the moderators, every panel has a moderator, and that's the person who's responsible for starting the conversation pre-con about what, it's like, so that everybody's on the same page when you get there about what the panel's gonna be about. They start the panel, they call on questions from the audience, they ask questions to the other panelists, they also answer the questions. We do not restrict our moderators from being part of the conversation. Like here, technically I'm the moderator. I'm still talking a lot. I'm giving you information. This panel is a little odd, just in that we are all department heads. So, format-wise, that's a little bit different, but yeah. It's not a whole lot of work, but it is a little bit extra than just being on the panel.
Yeah, I would say as somebody who's been on many panels through the years, I have been a moderator as well. It's really about driving the conversation forward, and if you don't have to be the person that knows the most about it. There was one time it was just me and one other person because the other people didn't show up or they didn't sign up for it. And this person was an industry expert, and I myself was just kind of a dude who knew stuff. And I turned it into an interview because I'm like, well, this is a really good opportunity, and we had a really great panel about this subject. And you kind of got to think on your feet a little bit in that respect, but that's a rarity, I think, for that to happen. It's more about just kind of knowing when the conversation might be going down a rabbit hole you really don't need to go on. You don't need to provide the depth of all the information on this subject matter. Maybe you need to sort of branch off and talk a little bit about this, a little bit of that. You got to know when to pump the brakes a bit and just drive everybody else and help them keep on task.
And it helps if you can diplomatically tell somebody, this is not a comment session, this is a question part. Can you get to the question, please?
Yeah.
Because there are people who will have a whole panel all by themselves out there in the audience.
This is true, and some people are just nervous and they don't know how to get to their question, and they're afraid of messing up their words or whatnot, and you just got to be encouraging and help people feel great about being here, because we're all fun people. We all want to talk about fun things, and we all love to be here, so it's nothing to be scared about.
I find there's nothing quite so joyous as watching somebody else geek out.
Yes.
Even if it's not a subject that I care anything at all about, but watching somebody else get all up in it, oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I would like to mention something about gaming that we do that's a lot different than some other groups. You have the opportunity as a participant at the convention to walk up to our gaming help desk and just say, oh, it's Saturday, 4 o'clock, I've got a few hours to kill, I want to teach somebody how to play my favorite board game. You can literally, right there, sign up on a little sheet of paper, I want to run this game, and put it in the book, we'll put it on the whiteboard, we'll put it in the sketch app, and then somebody who's like, oh, hey, I'm looking for something to do, great, this has just popped up. It's very ad hoc, it's very on the fly. We really love it when people want to come and run games for us, and a lot of people don't until con because they're just not sure what they're going to be up to yet. They don't want to restrict themselves, understandably. Some games can go along, but one thing we're going to try to do is do a more digital thing for future years. Can't guarantee it'll be ready for next year, but this will allow us to really do some interesting things with the schedule that way too, especially at Con. But if you ever think to yourself, man, I wish somebody would have taught us how to play Catan, I could do that. Well, okay, I'll do it. That's all it takes.
We have had people asking that programming be that kind of flexible, and I'm sorry, we just can't. We've tried, we just can't.
Yeah, the gift that we have is we have flexibility with our rooms where if we need to sort of put two tables together and throw people on it with a big sprawling game, great. You guys have this very strict, scheduling.
We have set rooms with set
It's
schedules.
unbelievable.
Sorry.
I'd have it in here.
Best they can do is add someone last minute.
Right.
Which is part of our frustration with teens. We would really, really, really love to run more teen stuff.
Yes.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. I did plug this panel in Teen Room. No one wanted to go. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I think we have somebody there.
Okay.
Yes, yellow.
So I have a question regarding, I guess, closed versus open panels. Is there a preferred sort of balance of those? Like, I guess, do you guys want it, is there one of those that you want more of? Do you want it?
It generally works better for us if more of the panels are open sign up. Just because then we don't get as many complaints from people who wanted to be on panels and don't get to be because they were all locked. And on your side, locked is way more work for you. A lot less for us, but way more for you. So yeah, open sign up panels also give us the opportunity to make sure that the panelists are as diverse as possible. And we really do try to make the panelists as diverse as possible. So when you're signing up, do tell us what makes you diverse, all the differences that you have.
And there's a line on the form, right, for that?
Yeah, there's a section on the form that specifically tell us about just, not your credentials, just tell us about you. And, shush you. So, like, the more we know about you, about how you are different from everybody else, the easier it is for us to balance the experience on each panel. Of course, every panel has its own considerations, but yeah. There was a panel that was suggested that didn't run last year because it was Egyptology, and nobody who wasn't white signed up. Oh no, we're not doing that kind of cultural appropriation. Oh hell no.
Yeah. Well, with the locked ones, that's also important to keep in mind too. Like if you've got a group of people in your community that you all, try to think about that. We are a very diverse convention. We've always taken great pride in that, and we've taken a lot of flack for that. Great. But it's nice to be able to plan ahead and say, okay, yeah, you know what, I have a friend who's perfect for this panel that I've got an idea for, and they've got a friend of a friend. It becomes more appealing to the general audience that you have a very wide range of people on your panel.
The other thing with that, though, is if you do a locked panel and you have somebody who doesn't naturally come to CONvergence, but has a diversity perspective on your topic, and you really want them to come in, ask us. We have access to performer passes.
Yes.
And we can get your friend in for their panel and a little bit more so they can, maybe join us.
Sandbox as well. One of our activity leaders this year had a pass because they were not originally planning, but they came in for the activity and it was one of the ones that filled. So, we appreciate that as well. We love to get other people in.
Yeah, as a convention, we want us to have a great experience, and the last thing we want to be is like...
I see a blue piece of paper trying to be raised back.
Oh,
I was gonna wait. Do you finish?
Oh, no. No, my point was basically that if you feel like, oh, I have a friend who can only come in for 2 hours for our panel, and they don't want to buy a whole badge, we're going to make it work. We want them to be here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know all the rules of CONvergence, so if it's not possible. I was wondering for activities, is it possible to have activity that involves people moving? Like if it was a hydrate and stretch kind of activity.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. We've done yoga.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We have water aerobics every morning.
I didn't know that. Sorry.
But yes,
It's a great question.
Yeah.
If we used to have a group, story yoga,
Yes.
something
Yes.
like that.
Oh my God,
I don't know what happened to them. But yes, if you are a yoga instructor and you would like to run yoga, at some point during the convention, let us know. We will make it work. We will make it work.
Yeah.
Because that was always one of our more popular
Oh, it
things.
filled the courtyard.
Yeah.
It filled the courtyard. It filled every panel room we ever put it in.
Yeah.
We just had to remind them to put the chairs back.
Yeah, we do, and the holodeck is another option too, where if you feel like it's something that's going to be very active or have a lot of little kids running around and stuff like that, we can utilize the right space for that and use you as a way to gauge.
Thanks, you.
Yeah.
So yes, we would love to have more move your body type.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since our holodeck is a gym.
Yes, the holodeck is a gym, like an actual gym. So yes, we would absolutely love to have that. So go ahead and throw it in the suggestion form, especially if you are an instructor or you know an instructor. Put the contact information in, and somebody's going to reach back out to you. Can't guarantee that it's going to be programming or holodeck or who, but someone will reach out to you.
Great example on that is I had somebody reach out and say they wanted a throw burrito competition. And if you're not aware of it, it's a game created by The Oatmeal, who is a comedian, web comic. And it's basically these little cute spongy burrito-shaped things, and you literally throw it at your friend and you have to play cards while you're dodging burritos. Very chaotic, very perfect for CONvergence. However, I'm like, well, A, we would need copies of this game to make it work. B, we would need to use the holodeck. C, we would make sure there's certain rules in place to make sure nobody's crashing into each other. And somebody showed up at a con with, I think it was 12 copies of the game and said, do it. And so hopefully next year we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But that's how it works, right? Like I'm like, well, here's why I can't do it now. And that person really wants it to happen, so they're going to make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of twisting and turning and stretching that goes on as we put our schedules together. And programming is not ashamed to reach out to other departments to figure out if maybe your space is better than this. The physics of how to kick a football this year. We were trying very hard for a very long time to figure out where we actually had an appropriate space to do that without breaking the hotel, because we don't break the hotel. It turned out that I think we were able to get the safety equipment in for main stage, and it happened on main stage. At least I know that's where it was scheduled for.
Yeah, it was.
I'm assuming it happened. Because, one of our guests of honor used to be a football player, and hey, let's it's another form of gaming.
And what a unique perspective that you really don't normally find.
What are sports but war games?
Yeah, right.
Like seriously, sports, war games, they're right there.
He came in the sandbox and we did a collaboration too, and we did a bunch of sports and made paper footballs. We did not let him kick them. He said he better not.
Yeah, no, don't break the hotel. So, okay, but again.
I have a lot of questions, sorry.
Yes.
No, it's great.
It's fine.
I've only been here 2 years. It's not complaining, it's just a vibe observation. It feels like there's a few things like, well, those are the people who do that. Is that true? Like, those are the improv people, that's set. These are the game X people, that's set, don't bother. Is that true?
It's not a don't bother.
Yeah.
It is, yes. We have really strong ties to certain groups of improv people, and there's more than one group, by the way.
Yeah.
It might be hard to tell because they're a little incestuous. They share players a lot. But if another, it's like we also have a lot of people who do game shows, and we get new people suggesting game shows all the time. And yeah, if we can fit them in, we fit them in.
And sometimes it is the case where we already have somebody who's done for many years, they've done a certain type of thing. And then somebody new comes on and says, hey, I would like to do, we had somebody in gaming who was doing trivia events. And then we had a second person who said, I would like to do a trivia event. We said, hey, you two should meet. And now they are running trivia events in Wurtzlinger's way because they outgrew gaming, literally. So they became a thing because they started as something smaller. And in some cases, like with the big main stage events, some of those people have very, very early ties with CONvergence. And part of that is definitely this, the old school. Being somebody who's been going to con since year 4, I see these people and I know these people, and you just expect them to be there. But there is some element of flexibility.
Yeah. Main stage tends to be the most set,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. But I know HarmCon is always looking for new musical performances. Programming would love to have new troops of improv come in and do their thing.
Teen Room always needs more teens because the thing about teens
Start
is they
making
stop
teens, everybody.
being teens at some point.
Yes.
Teen Room has the problem that they age out a lot faster than the rest of us.
Which, let's face it, is a problem for just convention scene in general, because we're the oldest con in town, or one of the oldest cons in town. There was a couple of years there where we're sort of the joke of we're the old people con. And
No, that's MiniCon.
yeah, well, sure. Okay, we're the next in line. but anyway, so we definitely want to make sure that whatever these traditions that we have are there, and that people coming in can not only participate them and feel like, okay, this is what makes, vilification tennis is part of CONvergence and is what makes CONvergence, but those are people who do this outside of con as well, and they just bring it to CONvergence.
Vilification tennis also brings new players every year.
Yeah, they do. And that's what I was going to get to, is that if you wanted to be a vilifier, you could literally go to their shows and sign up and audition and part of that theatrical process.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're a little more of a professional gig. And as far as gaming goes, like the arcade group back there, we brought them in from Milwaukee, Madison area. And if you wanted to work with them, go and talk to them. That was something we've tried this year new, and I'm sure there's a local group that could do a similar thing. But
there's also a really big push towards succession planning. Okay, I started it. But we need young people to be involved in this convention. Hence the reason we've started the kids programming. Hence the reason we're really pushing for teen programming.
Teen Room is very aware of like subheads and heads and thinking of who is your next, when you step down as head, who is becoming head after you, and preparing them for that role.
this could be the next head of gaming.
Yes, and then the heads and subheads, and then the heads of Teen Room, when they age out, tend to want to stay as year-round volunteers, and will go and find other departments. We have to describe
that is a great part of it, but also getting the 8 to 12-year-olds involved as youth advisors to the various departments.
Mm-hmm.
So they start truly young. And we've had one of our youth advisors had started when he was 10. He's now 15. Next year he will be a subhead at 16 because we're not allowed to make him a full head. He has to be 18 for that. Silly lawyers. So he's been, and the great thing is that he's been learning organically this whole time how our department runs. He's probably, when he steps up into being a head, he's going to be more ready to be a head than any of us were.
Yeah, we added a teen specialist to our room.
ConSuite had just got their youth specialist. Photography is looking for teen specialists to.
I believe ConSuite's youth specialist is in Teen Room as well.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. She's 12.
Oh, next year.
Yeah. So next year she'll be in teen. She'll be able to enter Teen Room. But we're always looking for that. Programming just brought on our next 10-year-old youth specialist. But yes, we're pushing. I know Ops has a youth specialist now. I don't think Reg has found one yet. But it is one of those things. Like kids know stuff differently than adults do.
Yes.
Kids see stuff differently than adults do, and amazingly enough, this year there was a time in our programming meetings where we had a question and we weren't sure how we were gonna deal with it. And the adults all said, do it this way, and the youth all said, do it that way. And then we talked about it some more, and we decided that the youth were right, and we did it that way, and it worked out great.
The kids are all right.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, to loop back to what you were asking, like, for us, it's the opposite. Like, we want fresh ideas, we want new people, we want new perspectives, we want, you know, we all have the stuff, like you were saying, that we love every year, but we would love to have new things brought in and new people brought in, and, you know, it gives those new perspectives, regardless of age. I mean, obviously,
And,
especially
you know,
children.
the old guard is, well, old, and some of them are getting to the part where they're retiring and moving to Hawaii.
That's why I got put in charge.
Well, and honestly, actually, this is a kind of an intro, not to turn it into a CONcom panel, but what had happened for me specifically is back in the old hotel, if you were never aware of it, gaming was sort of sequestered into the 22nd floor, which is where, you know, we got to do our own thing and whatever. I was not a part of gaming at the time, but I always sort of wished that, you know, I'm a board gamer. I wanted to have a board game library that I could, you know, come to and try new games and do stuff like that. We moved to this hotel, and I'm like, okay, there's an opportunity. I joined the CONcom. The gaming department was very much sort of this group that worked with each other for many years. They knew each other very well, and I had a hard time sort of breaking into that. I was able to be helpful, and that was fine, but still didn't feel like I was being heard at that time. Pandemic happens. The entire group that was in the gaming department decided that they did not want to do it anymore, and they left. There was one individual who stepped up. It was not me. She is now the head of our kids department. She decided, well, that's not right. I'm going to become the gaming department. She became the gaming department. She got recruited. She recruited somebody else who's now going to be the lead of our gaming department. She recruited me because she knew what I wanted to do. And with the help of the board of directors, we created what you see there. We built that in 4 years. And, you know, we didn't have, we had maybe 200 board games in our library. We didn't have much of a video game presence at all. We had a couple of RPGs, and that's really it. And now that's where we are. And so, yeah, you can break in, and you can sort of break, you know, change is hard. Change is scary. Some people are very technology averse.
Change is possible.
It is possible. And I always say this. When people come to me and say, what did gaming do? It's literally, we became the change we wanted to be.
Unfortunately, we are over time, but we will all be more than happy to stay and stick around and talk to you for a little bit.
Absolutely.
I won't. I actually have to meet with the director. Our director, ideally soon. Okay, whenever she comes down. We don't know where she is right now.
We'll talk to you in Discord.
Yeah. We're right over there.